Yeah. So actually, in my last Numpy video, I already told you I will discuss the similarity between two vectors. Let's discuss. Let's take a two vector first. Okay. Let's take a two vector. Suppose there is a vector like x1. There is a vector called x1. Suppose there is like this is a vector 2 comma 3. Okay. There is another vector x2. Suppose this is maybe 2 comma 6, and the third vector x3 this is 1 comma suppose 9. Let's draw the vector on xy plane. Suppose this is our y plane, this is our x plane, this is x, and this is y. Okay. The first one is 2 comma 3. So let me do this. 2 comma 3, 2 comma 3 means this, no? So you can say this is our x1 vector 2 comma 3. Another with 2 comma 6, 2 comma 6 is like this is our x2 vector, and the third is 1 comma 9, 1 comma 9 means like I think here. Okay, so what you have to do, let's draw from 0. Okay, so this is the from 0. Okay, you can see this first one x1, the second one x2, and third one x3. Okay, suppose you have to calculate the similarity between x1 vector, x2 and x3. Suppose you want to calculate the similarity. After drawing this vector, you can usually say x1 is x1 is more similar to x2. Okay, you can just see this graph and you can say x1 is more similar to x2. So how can you calculate by using math? You just have to calculate the angle between x1 and x2. Suppose this is theta 1, and then you calculate the angle between x1 and x2. Suppose this is theta 2. So you can say theta 2 is greater than theta 1, means the angle between x1 and x3 is greater than the angle between x1 and x2. Okay, so like you find the less angle between x1 and x2, that's why you can say x1 is more similar to x2. Okay, so you can calculate the angle between two vector, and you can compare the angles, and you can say which vector is more similar to which vector. Okay, so how can we calculate the angle basically? So it's a very easy. In your 10th standard we have already this actually this is called cosine similarity. So how can you find that cosine similarity? Basically just you have to calculate the dot product. Like if you calculate the x1 dot x2, you can find the mod x1 mod x2 and the cos theta. So basically theta, you can say theta is equal to cos inverse x1 dot x2 divided by mod of x1 and mod of x2. This is the actually you can see the mathematical formula to calculate the angle. Okay, so we will calculate using numpy all things. Okay, let's first calculate what is dot product. Just a minute. Now let me rough this. Okay, just a minute. Let's calculate the dot product. Basically, suppose you have vector, like here you can see there is a vector x1. Okay, suppose there is a vector x1, like here you can see x1 is like maybe 1 3, and there is another vector suppose x2, and x is like 2 comma 4. Okay, you have to calculate the x1 dot x2 means dot product basically. So how can we calculate? Just multiply the parallel value. Here you can see multiply 1 cross 2 plus addition with second value like 3 comma 4. So you can find 2 12 14. Okay, so this is basically x1 dot x2. You have to just what you have to do, just multiply with the parallel data, then you find your dot product. So we can do using numpy. Suppose you are doing with numpy, and suppose this is your x1 numpy array, x2 numpy array. So you have to just calculate x1 dot x2, and you will get this value 14. Okay, so we will do using numpy also. Okay, first thing. Second thing, if you say like if you're talking about a formula, so let me first erase this. Just in our formula, if you see our formula, you can see like theta is equal to cos inverse x1 dot x2 divided by mod of x1 and mod of x2. So basically, what is mod value? Mod value is just distance, okay, from origin. Suppose there is a vector, like maybe here is a vector x1, and x1 is suppose 3 comma 4. It means suppose you plot this. So suppose 3 comma 4 is this. So what is most of x1? Just its distance from origin. So just a minute. This is actually distance from origin basically. So this is your mod of x1. So how to calculate? You have to just take like 3 minus 0 whole square plus 4 minus. This is basically a distance equation of a two vector. If you have two vector x1 and x2, x3 and x4, if you want to calculate the distance, you can calculate using this equation. Okay. So this is basically 3 square and 4 square. So this is equal 25 and you will get 5. Okay. So you are not going to do like our mod using like you are not going to do like this. You just have to calculate using Numpy. So how can you calculate the mod value using Numpy? You have to just like np dot linear algebra dot norm is the same thing now. Just pass your vector, it will give you the, like here if you part the x1 it will give you the 5. Okay, directly. So you are going to do same thing using numpy, just you have to calculate using this. Okay, so the idea is we are just calculating the angle between the vectors. Okay, and we compare with the angles and you will find which vector is more similar to which vector. Okay, so let's go on, let's go to Jupyter notebook and we will perform the same thing using numpy. Okay, let's just a minute, let's go to the Jupyter notebook. Okay, let's start. First we have to import the numpy library, so let's import. Okay, let's create two vectors. Suppose we are calculating like we creating two vector like np dot array. Suppose two vector like 2 comma 3, this is our first vector, and then calculate our second value. Suppose this is x2. Okay, this is our x1 vector, this is our x2 vector. Suppose you want to find the like the dot product, just you have to calculate like x1 dot just pass your x2 value and you will find this is your this is your dot product basically. If you do through mathematically, you have to just calculate like using parallel multiplication then addition. If you go in like deep into math, you find this is actually, this is x direction, this is y direction, this is also x direction, this is y direction. Whenever you calculate the dot product, only the same direction is executable, because like if you calculate like I with j multiply I with j using cos 90, it will become 0. Okay, that's why I'm calculating only in the same direction. Okay, so if you go into math in your I think 10th standard, you'll find this. So I'm not covering this, but the idea is same. Okay, so here you find your dot product. Now how can you find your like mod value? Just to have to find the np dot you have to find the norm actually. So that linear algebra dot norm and pass your x1 value. Here suppose I'm passing this our x1 value, you will find this. Okay, suppose let me store somewhere, like here I'm storing dot product into k. Let's just store this k1. Okay, and let us store x2 into k2. Now we have to find the angle between our these two vectors. So what we have to do, the in angle is cos inverse dot product divided by multiply of north. So first let's multiply. So k3 is equal to what? K1 multiply k2. So now we have multiplication and we have already k. So let's divide k, divide k3. This is all like, how can you let's store it into another variable. Suppose this, and you can do directly on the formula also, but I'm here I'm doing that's because if you can easily learn. So how can you find that the angle? Just you have to find like np, this is for inverse cos and pass your variable t4. So this is the angle, you can say 0.26, it is just very near, that's why it's a point. If you want to convert into radian, just multiply with 90 and divide to 3.4, you can find the angle also. Okay, so this is, then you find your degree like 30 degree, 40 degree. Okay, suppose you calculate it very near, like first thing, let's talk about the angles. Okay, just let's go to on again our notebook and calculate how can we check the angle. Just a minute, let's go on that. Okay, let's calculate the angle. Talking about this is, suppose this is theta, this is angle. So suppose this is maybe like 0 degree, then 30 degree, then 45 degree, then 60 degree, then 90 degree. Okay. If you calculate the cos theta, so the cos 0, the value of when angle is 0 is what? 30 degrees per under root 3 by 2. For 45 degree, it's 1 by root 2. For 60, it's 1 by 2. And for 90 is 0. Okay. So suppose you find your value is 0, it means 90 degree. Suppose you find, like, you calculate the theta, like cos theta is equal to your a dot b divided by mod a mod b. Suppose you find this this calculation is almost equal to 1, then it means the angle between two vectors is 0. Okay. So if you don't want to calculate the angle, just finding this value, you can say this angle is 0, first thing. And there is another concept I want to clear here. Suppose you have a two vector, like here we have two vector. Suppose you have two vector, like here we have a two vector like x1. Suppose this is 3, 4. Okay. Suppose there is x2, and this x2 is suppose 9 and 12. Okay, here is a two vector. So you can see this x2 is just directly 3 multiply with x1. You can see, like here, if you multiply 3 into 3, 9, 4 into 3, 12. Okay. So you can see, suppose you plot this vector on a xy plane, you can find both vector on a same line. It means there is no angle between x1 and x2. Okay, because both vector are on the same line. Let's check on Jupyter notebook first. Let's check on where. It means actually both are, and actually there is a linear relation between both vector. Okay, let's go on Jupyter notebook and check whether it's happening or not. Just a minute. Let's check. Yeah, here you can see. Let's create two vector like this. Suppose this is x1. Let me create, like we have calculate 2 and 3. Okay, and let's do another vector x2 and do same like 3 times. Okay, you can do 2 times also. Let's take 3 times. So 2 times 3, 6 and 9. Okay. Let's calculate the first the same thing, like you have to calculate first dot product. So let us store into x the k. So np dot x, sorry, x1 dot x2. So we store dot product into k. Let's calculate the norm of x1 and x2 and put into k1 and k2. So k1 is equal to np dot linear algebra dot norm and pass x1. Same happen x2, k2 is equal to np dot linear algebra dot norm pass with x2. So here we have like our dot product and vector mod of that value. Let's calculate the value of that. So k divide k1 multiply k2. So you can see is exactly 1. No? You can see here we have the, like, value, you know, the for 1 the angle is 0. No? Let's create suppose not was 1. You can find the angle is 0. It means both vector are similar. That's why we find the angle is 0. No? Because we calculated the similarity. Suppose the angle is 0, it means both vector available on the same line. Okay. So this is the thing I want to cover, and in my next video I will cover the matrix part, how we calculate the rank, how we calculate the eigenvalue, what is the use of rank and what is the use of eigenvalue. So here we calculate the similarity, like if you go for in deep learning where you calculating, like whenever you dealing with maybe for your text mining, all the things, and you want to convert your text into the numbers, you are going to use the same things called cosine similarity. Okay. So yeah, please do subscribe. I will upload the video regarding using Numpy, that matrix also, and then I will go for regression problem, how can we calculate the regression, and like in regression also I will use Numpy, because we have to calculate the suppose you want to do gradient descent using Python. So for better fast of your calculation, mathematical calculation, we will use like matrix and Numpy area. Okay, so thank you for watching this video.